What they said on the 13th was that the
But
attackers...
you can't have it both ways.
Look, are you going to let me answer the question?
I will, but I'm just saying you can't have it both ways.
I'm not trying to have it both ways. I'm trying to explain the facts to you. So on the 13th, the analysts said that what motivated the attackers was what happened in Cairo. That they saw the guys go over the fence into the embassy compound in Cairo and wanted to do the same thing in Benghazi.
And there you see Mike Morell, the former deputy director of the CIA, facing 3 hours of questioning before the House Intelligence Committee on that deadly attack on September 11, 2012 in Benghazi, Libya. This rare open session examined who was really responsible for framing the infamous talking points and why Morell was adamant that politics did not influence changes to those talking points. He also said he had no idea that then Ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, would wind up using them on the Sunday talk shows. Joining us right now to discuss this is Congressman Peter King of New York, a member of the House Intelligence Committee.
Peter, my old colleague, J.D. Hayworth.
J.D., how you doing, buddy?
Thanks. It's good to have you on, sir. And Pete, we had our days on the Banking and Financial Services Committee,
right,
where we would hear from different bureaucrats who would come in, and they'd weave around. It was almost like the art of their career survival was number one. Pete, you look at yesterday, and Deputy Director Morell, did he turn the CIA into CYA, just covering for himself yesterday?
J.D., I have to think that, and I've felt that way for a while now. And I mean, I can give you any number of reasons, but there's about 15 or 20 different instances where he had to give explanations that were hard to believe. Okay, that could all be true if you had a reason to believe him. But from the very first moment, he has not been truthful with us. I mean, I was at the Intelligence Committee hearing. It was a classified hearing then, but it was discussed yesterday, when you had all of the top intelligence people in our government were there. This was in November of 2012, and General Petraeus had just stepped down, so Morell was sitting there as the acting director. And the committee was going after General Clapper, who was the director of national intelligence, because we thought that he was the guy involved with the talking points, he and General Petraeus. And we're saying, where these talking points come from? He says, no, that's not what we do. He said, we drafted different talking points. Talking points, once they left our building, they were changed. We don't know who changed them. And this went on. And Morell sat there, and I guess none of us even thought of asking him, because as far as we knew, he had nothing to do with the talking points. He wasn't the director of the CIA at the time. And he sat there as if he had, this was something totally foreign to him. So he was talking about it. Matt Olson, the head of the National Counterterrorism Center, was talking about it. Not a word from Morell. 6 months later, the emails are finally disclosed, and Morell was all over the place. He did most of the rewriting. And the rewriting he did all served the purposes of the White House and the State Department. You have emails there from Victoria Nuland at the State Department saying, our leadership is not happy with these talking points because it might show that we didn't do our job. It might give Congress the opportunity to attack us. Okay, that language was taken out. Then you have the White House, Ben Rhodes at the White House, talking about changes that should be made. His name is all over the emails. Then we find out later, after he leaves the CIA, Morell goes into a firm where one of the leading partners is one of Hillary Clinton's very top people, one of those people in their leadership who was concerned about the talking points. Then he also gets a job at CBS News. Who's the director of CBS News? The brother of Ben Rhodes, the guy at the White House who wanted these changes made. And we can go through it step by step. I asked him, because I was amazed at the time, before I started getting into any type of conspiracy theories, is why General Petraeus was not heard from on this, because he was the most maybe controlling person I've seen in government for a guy running his department, his agency. Petraeus did everything. When he came in to testify, he came by himself. Nobody else said a word. He knew that agency from top to bottom. And yet, when the emails come out, you see Morell going to Petraeus, showing him the talking points, which we thought Petraeus had drawn, but obviously he didn't. And he says, well, this isn't what they wanted. I don't like these, but okay, if we have to go with them, so be it. This passive tone from David Petraeus. So I said to Morell, I said, when did you realize that General Petraeus was under investigation? Because at this time, he was being under investigation. And Morell said that he never knew that Petraeus was under investigation. It's hard for me to believe that the number 2 person at the CIA was never told, even though it was known by others for 6 months at least, that General Petraeus was under investigation for his activities in Afghanistan and could lose his job as director. So again, all these, I can go on and give you 20 more instances where I just don't believe Morell.
So let's amplify this a little bit, Pete. From your perspective, the convenient associations of one former associate director, Morell. He's got a family relationship, a sibling at the White House. He's got a gig with CBS News. He's also signed on to a new job in the private sector provided by one of Hillary Clinton's big-time supporters. And he shows up yesterday to basically lecture you guys. But Pete, with your background as an attorney, when you're doing congressional hearings, it's like a courtroom. Someone can be charged with lying to Congress, but you go back to that initial hearing about the talking points, and because he wasn't asked, and of course witnesses are told all the time, right, answer just the questions you are asked. So it was a failing on the committee. Nobody thought to ask Morell the first time this topic was addressed.
And okay, he brought that up in his opening statement. He said that he always enjoyed, appreciated the opportunity to be frank with the committee. There was a good working relationship, and there had been, we thought, a working relationship between him and the committee. So these classified hearings are much more of a conversation type. And so I said to him that the fact that he didn't volunteer anything, I said that's either misleading by omission or lying by omission, and we can't trust you again. And that's basically it. And that, you're right, it should have been one of those financial services hearings you and I are at. Yeah, we would have gone down the line. There was a certain amount of respect is accorded at these smaller hearings, these, in effect, closed-door hearings, and it's much more in a conversational tone with people who you believe you can trust. Now, that mistake will not be made again.
Well, listen, Pete, you have also, during your time in Congress, served as chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. All of this comes together with this second mass shooting at Fort Hood. Today, if you were setting priorities, and we've got about a minute and a half left, what is most important in your mind? Have you come up with any ideas about what we need to do on our bases in the wake of this second Fort Hood attack?
Well, first of all, I would go back to what we say with Homeland Security. If you see something, say something. Assuming this is not terrorism for the moment. If this is a person who has a mental disorder, if you see anyone in the military acting in any unusual way, that should be reported immediately. We have to make it clear to our troops that there is no stigma with stress disorder, that just as a person who gets shot in the ankle or shot in the arm or any type of other wound, that's a lasting wound, so is stress disorder. And they're entitled to be treated for it and treated respectfully. And the people on the ground, their commanding officers and their platoon sergeants and squad leaders, they should be looking for any type of disorder such as that. And we have to, the waiting list is so long for treatment, we just can't allow that to go on.
Congressman King, we want to thank you for your time, sir, and your perspective on both those issues, very important, especially today, following up on the Fort Hood shooting.
Okay, John, and it's always great to renew my acquaintanceship with J.D. He
My
is
old
a
pal,
man among men.
Well, we'll have you back a lot, and thanks for stopping
thank
in.
you.
Of course, we want you to weigh in on the discussion as well. What do you think could be done to prevent these types of tragedies from happening again? Do we need more security on these military bases? Should soldiers be allowed to carry their weapons on base? Write into us on social media at Newsmax TV, hashtag America's Forum, the email address connect@newsmaxtv.com, and Facebook, facebook.com/NewsmaxTV. More ahead right after this.
Tonight we are a country awake.